Last time on Ace Attorney, Spirit of Justice. Oh, Soren, have you ever seen this before? That's... Soren? What is it? Nothing. Why did his whole demeanor change all of a sudden? He's gone pale as a ghost, too. Oh, God! And now, back to Apollo Justice 2. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to more Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Spirit of Justice. Last time we left off, we did the second part of the investigation for the DLC episode, and now we're going to do the first part of the final trial. I seriously don't know who the killer is. My best guess is Pierce, but I don't know. Maybe it will just be Soren. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I really don't know. Alright, let's get in. So the one thing we found out yesterday is that Soren was there at the crime scene. I only hope I can get some testimony from him that'll get to the heart of the matter. Mr. Wright. Good morning, Ellen. Look, I'm afraid you might not like the result of today's trial. Nevertheless... Don't tell me you're thinking of going that route. Soren is innocent. Can't be found guilty. Ellen, please, try and get a hold of yourself. God, this truce should get you. It's kind of amazing how much you can do in like 5 seconds. I tell you that, whatever, I'm sick of your shtick. Regardless of which one of them is found guilty today, it's gonna be devastating for Ellen, isn't it? Which means it's probably the butler, okay. We'll just have to do everything we can. It's the best we can do, you know? The trial's about to begin, Mr. Wright. Oh, thanks, Phantom. No problem. Alright, let's go, Maya. Yeah. Okay. I didn't do any investigating yesterday. I just sat back and drank tea all day. Yeah, that's right. Court's now in session. All rise. Okay, sit down. Court's now back in session with the trial of Ellen White. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Let's see now. Where were we? In yesterday's session, we found out about the Sprocket family's conspiracy to cover up the murder of Dumas Gloomsbury with a second reception. Taking advantage of a collective shock, the defense, as usual, made a nonsensical claim, namely that there was a third person present who struck the victim. Slam my desk. Hey, don't try to make it sound like I made it all up. The defendant herself made a statement about the existence of a third party, and further investigation has only proven her statement to be true. And I presume the defense intends to focus on proving the identity of this third person. Is that alright with you, Mr. Edgeworth? Indeed, Your Honor. In fact, I predicted the defense will most likely attempt to name Mr. Soren Sprocket as the true culprits. How did you... The driver during the accident that killed Mr. Sprocket's sister was the victim. Therefore, Mr. Sprocket had a motive to murder Mr. Gloomsbury. That's what you plan to assert, is it not, Mr. Wright? Am I that transparent? Come now, Mr. Wright. Did you really think the police wouldn't uncover this information? Congrats on getting it in one, Mr. Edgeworth. But... You're wrong. Soren didn't do it. He's innocent. This what? Please. He's innocent. What is this, Mr. Wright? I thought your claim about the existence of a third party came from the defendant. It did. This is just a minor hiccup. Did you not discuss your strategy for today with the defendant, Mr. Wright? Starting off on the wrong foot again is seriously cutting into my lifespan. It would appear that the defense is in disarray. Therefore, the best way to clear things up is to ask Mr. Sprocket himself what happened. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call Soren Sprocket to the stand. What? Very well. Bailiff, please bring Mr. Sprocket to the witness stand. Who could it be? It's Pierce. What the? I'm going to kill you all. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Okay. Said state name and occupation. Eat this paper airplane, boy. Ow! there's something written on this paper airplane. Let's see. Soren Sprocket, Managing Director of Sprocket Aviation. Mr. Sprocket, please give your answers in words, not paper airplanes. Now then, Mr. Sprocket, we're just gonna ignore that. Please tell that doubting lawyer that what really happened at the time of the crime. Well, Mr. Sprocket? Slam my desk, Mr. Sprocket! Alright. You want me to talk about what happened when the crime occurred? In other words, after the first wedding reception. When Ellen and I were in the reception, alright. Not even the power of court can stop him from marching to the beat of his own drum. God, wow, that Edgeworth freakout kinda ruined my voice. Whew, I'm gonna drink some Wawa. I was stabbed by Dumez in the reception hall and I collapsed to the floor. The next thing I saw was Ellen and Dumas on the Vista deck. I knew Ellen was in danger, so I headed for the Vista deck. When I got there, Dumez was already... I don't want to believe it, but it must have been Ellen. Nothing else makes sense. Objection! You killing him makes perfect sense! Wait just a minute here. You actually think Miss Watt killed the victim? That's right. Dumez was killed by Ellen. This is unbelievable. How can you suspect your bride, the woman you love? Because the company told me to. Objection! Objection! Oh, shake my little head at you. The truth can be cruel. Miss Watt, you must be very upset. Is there anything you wish to say? Oh. No. I can't believe this. Soren. I thought that at least you would believe in me. The best way now to show your love for your groom is to admit your guilt and try to atone. Soren. Hold it. Mr. Edgeworth, I haven't even cross-examined the witness yet. And quit picking on the clearly distraught. Yeah, that's not so cool, Mr. Edgeworth. Huh. The court is where we seek the truth. And the truth is unyielding, even to the truly pitiful. Mr. Edgeworth. I find it distasteful to make a lady cry. Me too, Your Honor. So what are you gonna do, Nick? If the third person Ellen saw on the Vista deck was Soren, then we have to prove Soren was there at the time of the murder. I don't see any obvious inconsistencies in his testimony, but we have to push forward. We need to press forward, get it? Cross-examination. Cross-examination. What am I doing? Hold it. Are you absolutely sure, Mr. Sprocket, that by the time you got to the Vista deck, the murder had already been committed? Yes. But the Vista deck is just on the other side of the glass windows in the reception hall. Should you have been able to get there right away? Objection! Huh. You're stupid, right? Oh wait, no, I forget, I always say, oh, you are a fool. No! I've missed it so many times! No! Mr. Wright, have you investigated nothing? The only way to the Vista deck is to go to the hold and take the lift. No matter how much one hurries, it would take them at least 10 minutes. Well, that's an helpful. But Soren had to have gotten there before the murder, or my claim won't stand. Do you have any ideas for me, Maya?
It's definitely easier to prove that someone did go to the hold than not. I mean, you can't leave anything if you don't go someplace, right?
Can't leave anything? Wait a minute, I think Maya's onto something here. The lack of a certain something actually proves that Soren didn't go to the hold. What's the matter? Are you stumped already? Shake my head at you. No, I'm far from stumped, Mr. Edgeworth. Slam my desk! I know for a fact that Mr. Sprocket didn't go to the hold. Huh, you and your paper-thin bluffs. Mr. Sprocket's bloodstain on the lift proves he went to the hold. So what possible proof could you have that he did not, in fact, go through there? You want proof? You got it! You can do this, Phoenix. There's gotta be proof that Soren didn't go through the hold. Well, Mr. Wright? This proves that Mr. Sprocket didn't go through the hold. The record. Wherever that is. As anyone can see from the hold entry record, there's absolutely no mention of Soren Sprocket entering the hold. The defense asserts that Mr. Sprocket used a different route to get to the Vista deck. You can assert all you want, Mr. Wright, but can you actually prove another route exists? Can I prove the existence of another route to the Vista deck, you ask? Well, now that I really think about it, I guess it's gonna be hard to prove. But I can't back down now. The trial will be over if I do. There's only one thing I can do at a time like this. Bluff! I can prove it. Even if it's just a bluff, I have to present something. Anything that can prove the existence of a faster route to the Vista deck. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Show us how Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck. Mr. Sprocket made for the Vista deck through here. I mean, there's only really one option. It's through this door, right? Yep. To save his bride from danger, Mr. Sprocket... Oh, opened the escape hatch and made his way out along the outside wall to the Vista deck. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? That would certainly be a much faster route than the Vista deck. Oh, you're a fool. There, I said it. Oh, I'm disappointed, Wright. Is that really the best you can muster? Slam my desk. That escape hatch is not meant to be used to get to the reception hall to the Vista deck. One slip and that's all it would take for Mr. Sprocket to plunge to his death. I have to agree, the defense's claim is really stretching it. Hold it. I understand how it sounds, Your Honor. But at this point, it's too early to definitively say that he didn't go that way. So that's what you're going with then, I take it. Of course, Your Honor. This is real life, Mr. Wright, not some cinematic drivel, a comic book, or video game, wink, wink, wink. Do you have some sort of logical explanation to share that would convince us of your claim? I do.
You sure, Nick?
Kind of. Actually, I have nothing, so I'll just have to wing it somehow. On what do you base your theory that Mr. Sprocket made his way along the outside? My theory that he was able to go along the outside wall despite the danger is based on... To save the bride he loves, the groom risked his life and rushed to her side. Mr. Sprocket was able to make it to the Vista deck despite the danger because of the power of love. The power of love! Oh, I agree. Alright, not guilty. That love is a source of strength that can help one overcome any obstacle. I think I can relate thanks to my own long, happy marriage. Wow, he actually seems to be buying it. Hold on, that's stupid. The power of love, you say? That kind of illogical argument is hardly viable in a court of law. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? I'm afraid not, Mr. Edgeworth. You should never underestimate the power of love. You'll understand one day when you get married, which I won't. Exactly what is so wrong with wishing to remain unwed? Way to set him off, Your Honor. Never mind all this unscientific nonsense. Are you aware, Mr. Wright, that at the time of the crime, there was a huge propeller turning at full speed between the hatch and the Vista deck? Even if a person were to go outside through the hatch, they'd be blown away in an instant. What does your power of love get you now, Mr. Wright? A huge spinning propeller, you say? Nope, shaking my head now. In that case, I have to admit it does seem impossible. I should have known.
Nick, you can't make that kind of face in front of your client. I wish the times when lawyers have to force their biggest
Be quiet, do you know how many times I've said that in the past 2 years?
Right?
Right, you're not Mia, be quiet. I feel like I just saw Mia looking at me through Maya's eyes.
Wrong, Nick. Why are you gaping at me like a giant sunfish?
Thank you, Maya. You just helped me remember something really important.
There it is. There's that fearless smile I was looking for. And give us a mind-blowing theory, just like you always do.
I have to turn my thinking around. Instead of wondering how Soren could have moved past that huge propeller, I have to think about what would have made it possible for him to do so. Your Honor, Mr. Wright only makes that ridiculous face when his back is pressed against the wall. Therefore, please do hurry and give your ruling before— Hold it! God dang it! Before this, Mr. Edgeworth, It's still far too early to discount my theory. What are you talking about? The airship's launch spinning propellers have already shredded it to pieces. But if we think it a little more outside the box, I'm sure we can find a way he could have made it. Stop trying to stall, Mr. Wright, and show us how it could have even been remotely possible, if at all. I must agree with Mr. Edgeworth. Very well, Your Honor. There must have been a way. Some way the sword could have moved along the wall in spite of the propeller. Now then, Mr. Wright, what specifically would have made it possible? This is how it would have been possible for Mr. Sprocket to get to the Vista deck. He got to the deck some other way. The airship wasn't flying, the propellers were broken. What allowed Mr. Sprocket to go along the outside wall in spite of the propellers is the location of the flying chapel at the time of the crime. The location of the flying chapel? Well, wasn't it flying high in the sky? Shake my head. No, Your Honor, I'm afraid it wasn't. What? Then where was it? At the time of the murder, the airship wasn't flying through the sky, but moored to the ground. What? And if the airship wasn't flying, then that means the propellers weren't turning. This is it? Oh God. Oh no. Stop. In which case, Mr. Sprocket could have gotten to the Vista alongside the outside wall. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket? I don't remember. Ow, he stabbed himself with his pencil. That's gotta leave a mark. Even if the propellers weren't turning, it would have been far too risky to go that way. Ah, but Mr. Edgeworth, you're forgetting about the power of love. Yes, the amazing power of love. Not this again. Very well, for the sake of argument, let's assume this so-called power of love made it possible for Mr. Sprocket to move alongside the outside wall of the airship. Slam my desk. Can you prove that the airship was tied to the ground as you claim, Mr. Wright? Well, I don't have any evidence that proves where the airship was at the time. You can prove it, can't you? Maya, can you think of anything we can use to prove it?
Didn't somebody see something outside a window at the time of the crime? I think I remember someone saying as much.
The pterodactyl? Do I have a piece of evidence that shows what was outside the airship? Well, what are you waiting for? This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the crime. Larry, where's your stupid drawing? Take that! This piece of evidence shows what was outside the airship at the time of the murder. What kind of lousy drawing is that? It's a drawing made by Larry Butts. Huh. And what can you prove with that poor attempt at artistry? That there is a pterodactyl outside. Larry made this drawing before he switched the lanterns. Must have been right around when the murder was being committed. Now, if I can direct the court's attention here to the big pterodactyl. Is that a pterodactyl? Does that mean that the airship actually went back in time to the Cretaceous period? No! God dang it. We've already proven that time travel is nothing more than a gimmick, do we not? We did, and I have no intention of bringing up that argument again. But this drawing shows us an important piece of information. It shows us that the airship was actually moored on the ground. And what makes you so sure? That's easy. All you have to do is consider who made this drawing. Larry. That's right. It was Mr. Butts. We both know what he's like. He must have seen something else and mistaken it for a pterodactyl. I can't argue with you there. Hold it! Hey, wait just one doggone second here. What kind of moron do you take me for? I saw it with my own eyes. A pterodactyl flew right by the window, I tell you. I have the sharp eyes of an artist. Don't you believe me? No. Nick! Nope. Some friends you guys are. What about the judge? You believe me, right, Your Honor? No. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you need to leave this. Wow, Judge. Now then, so you're saying that what Mr. Butts really saw, there's some relation to what was outside the airship at the time of the murder? Yes, Your Honor. At least, I think it does. What this pterodactyl really is will prove the airship was anchored at the mooring dock. It did better anyway. If it doesn't, my whole argument is a bust. Ah, if you're that confident about it, then please go ahead and tell us what it really was. Yes, Your Honor. Think, Phoenix. What could a what could a pterodactyl have actually been? Sorry, I see the P and I'm like, pterodactyl? Oh. Please take a good look at this sign. The sign? Yeah. Appears to have been broken and then repaired. What does the sign have to do with the pterodactyl? Please focus on this part of the sign. The part that broke off and got reattached? What about it? How about if we turn it like this? Oh, that shape! It's the pterodactyl in the drawing! What Mr. Butts actually saw was this chunk as it was being blown through the air by wind. What? Look at me pointing my finger, I'm so cool. On the day of the murder, there were some heavy winds in the area of the mooring dock, but it's hard to imagine that this sign would make it up as high as an airship would fly. Slam my desk. That means the flying chapel must have been anchored at the mooring dock that night. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
Objection!
Oh, you are a fool. That's more than enough of this power of love nonsense, you pop culture junkie. Present all the proof you want, but your argument is based far too much on conjecture. Why don't we return to reality now? What do you mean, too much conjecture? Even if the airship wasn't flying, that alone doesn't prove the wind went along the wall. True. Even now, it's no more than a possibility. Then how do you propose Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth? I noticed something as I went over the evidence. Please take a look at this hold entry record. What about it? Oh, I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere. Don't you remember? In yesterday's session, we had a very similar kind of argument. Did we? Honestly, Mr. Wright, are you going senile already? We talked about Larry Butts using the defendant's keycard onto the hold. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we? Slam my desk. In other words, even if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered using someone else's card. Mr. Sprocket, you went to the hold with Mr. Nickety, didn't you? I did. What? Why didn't you tell us that in the first place? Pierce is indispensable. I didn't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do without him. Mr. Sprocket, I asked that you testify in greater detail about your movements that night. Okay. Witness testimony. The truth. The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's why my name doesn't appear on the hold entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over. Well, this doesn't help me one bit. Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again. Slam my desk. Who do you think you are, treating this court of law with such irreverence? That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. Now there are no more inconsistencies in the witness's testimony.
That's Mr. Edgeworth for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick?
I wouldn't exactly call the situation okay. Somehow I'll have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him. If I even can, that is. He's a pretty private guy. I don't know. He doesn't seem like, he seems like one of those guys you text like, hey, and he'd respond, hey. Be like, I was reaching for a conversation, you know? Why did you go to the deck? Hold on. You didn't mention this because you didn't want Mr. Nickety to fall under suspicion. Is that because he has something to hide? I just didn't want the police to take up his time with all their questions, that's all. Neither the company nor the household would function smoothly without him. I see. Wow, sounds like Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. Anyway, getting back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nickety? We met up on my way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor, but Pierce had heard the commotion and came running to my aid. He could hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor. Mr. Wright, would you like the current statement added to the witness's testimony? Yes, please, Your Honor. Very well. Ba, 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 ba. Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now? The knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared, but one wrong move would have spelled the end for me there. Even so, I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident. I'm only following my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises. Mr. Wright, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition added to his testimony? Not that it appears especially relevant to me. Should I have him added to his testimony? Yeah? Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to have it added to his testimony. I see. Very well. The knife wound? Oh. But it's not a knife. Hold on a doodle second. Objection! Mr. Sprocket, you just said your injury is a knife wound, didn't you? But the weapon you were stabbed with was this candelabra. In fact, a fact I know you're quite aware of. Very well. This is what I heard directly from Master Soren himself. As you surmise, Master Soren was stabbed by Gloomsbury on the day of the murder. It happened after the first wedding reception. The happy couple was in the reception hall when suddenly Gloomsbury appeared. He attacked Miss Ellen and tried to take her away. Master Soren went to stop him, and he found himself in a struggle with Gloomsbury. And then when Master Soren was stabbed with the candelabra, he said. Objection! It must have been a simple memory slip that made him misspeak. It happens to everyone. It has nothing to do with the case. You must be pretty desperate to point out something so minute. Ugh! I have to agree, Mr. Wright. You hardly need to make such a big deal over such a small mistake. But I contend that this is an important inconsistency. Besides, I couldn't find anything else. This is the only thing I have to go after. And I say it's not important. Now let's not waste any more time on this matter. I agree. Everybody has a little memory lapse every now and then. Hold it. But Your Honor, please let me explain. What, can you? Can you really explain to this court what makes this slip so important? Yes, I can, Your Honor. After all, it was Soren himself who told Pierce that he had been stabbed by a candelabra. This is more than a simple memory slip. There has to be some kind of reason for it. Well, Mr. Wright, please explain why the witness's slip of the tongue is so important. The point to focus on here is why the witness would mistake the weapon used to stab him. Think carefully, Phoenix. This could very well change the course of the trial. I see. So why did the witness make that mistake, Mr. Wright? Mr. Sprocket identified the wrong weapon used against him because he doesn't remember the incident, let alone the weapon used against him. Not only that, but I believe Mr. Sprocket has some sort of memory disorder. Therefore, the defense contends that Mr. Sprocket's testimony thus far is invalid. Just because you can't find a flaw in his testimony, you want to throw it all out. Your baseless claim is something but pure slander of the witness's character. Ah, I agree. Mr. Edwards was correct, Mr. Wright. Can you explain your grounds for making this claim? Of course, Your Honor. Think of what Soren has said and how he's behaved. That's where I'll find a clue. Very well, let's hear your argument then. My grounds for claiming that Mr. Sprocket has a memory disorder is his notebook. The notebook he always has with him. I saw daily events and information about the people around him recorded in it. Like a diary, perhaps. No, Your Honor, it's much too detailed to be an ordinary diary. It's more in the order of a database, actually. A database, you say? That's right. For some reason, Mr. Sprocket is apparently unable to retain memories. That's why he writes every little detail of his life down in his notebook. How could you possibly know that for sure? He might just be an extremely compulsive person. I thought so too, myself, at first. To be honest, we accidentally got a stain on that notebook yesterday.
You mean you got a stain on it?
Hey, you're the one who tried to grab it out of my... I don't care! Never mind whose fault it was, just get to the point already. Right, sorry. Mr. Sprocket. The page Miss Faye got a stain on yesterday. That's the page with the details of your stabbing on it, isn't it? No, I only write in this notebook because I'm very compulsive. Now drop the subject already. Sorry, but I'm not convinced. I noticed an odd fact about your notebook, Mr. Sprocket. On the earliest pages, you used it to write down invention ideas, but after a certain date, you started writing down a lot more and in much more detail. Slam my desk. I believe your memory disorder stems from what happened on that date. Something so monumental caused a memory disorder, Mr. Wright. You don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but I do know what I'm talking about, and this is the proof. This is the thing that caused Mr. Sprocket's memory disorder. Whoa! You were involved in this car accident too, weren't you, Mr. Sprocket? And the shock of losing your beloved older sister is what caused you to develop your memory disorder. Is this true, Mr. Sprocket? Well, is it? Mr. Sprocket! It's true. That accident did something to my mind. What? Ever since that day, every time I go to sleep, I lose my memories. And when I wake up, the most recent thing I can remember is the day I lost my sister. It's as if I am constantly going back in time. What? That's truly tragic. An inconsolable time traveler goes back in time whenever he goes to sleep. Besides, time travelers do exist, you know? But you wouldn't understand. So that's what Soren meant. He was talking about himself. The reactions of the people around me each time I awoke made me aware of my condition. That's why I decided to write everything down in my notebook, so I can move forward. So the only memories you have since that day are the ones written in that notebook. That's right. And since the page about your stabbing got stained, you couldn't read from it, could you? Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to call a little bit of garbage on that. How? Really? Really? That's the page that got stained? Are you kidding me? That is flimsy at best. Come on. There's just one more thing I'd like you to clarify for me. Like, Mr. Sprocket, what are the odds? What are the odds that that page would be the one we drop it on? Did we even know it was about the stabbing when we read it? We were just looking at it. We were just looking through the book, and Maya decided to grab it exactly at that page. Like, come on. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. Oh, well. Exactly what are your feelings towards the victim? Mr. Sprocket's feelings toward him as Gloomsbury. That's right, Your Honor. The witness said that every time he wakes up from sleep, his mind goes back to the day his sister died. Mr. Wright, you can't mean... Mr. Sprocket. Your pent-up feelings of anger and resentment toward Mr. Gloomsbury for the accident were renewed each and every time you woke, were they not? But you couldn't take it anymore, so you turned to murder, isn't that right? What? Mr. Wright, are you saying that the witness murdered Mr. Gloomsbury for revenge? Ugh. Well, Mr. Sprocket? I... Hold it! Okay, come on. Gee, I wonder who it is. Oh my god, who would have guessed? Miss what?
Your Honor? I did it. I killed Mr. Gloomsbury.
No! What? Oh, come on. She's covering. This is garbage. Miss what? What are you trying to do? Don't Ron delight me, bro.
Just don't tell me something like that, Rue. Sora says he can't be found guilty. Take me instead.
Ellen, please try and get a hold of yourself. Oh god, cold sweat. I guess she really meant it.
If Sora didn't do anything wrong, I'm the one who should be convicted.
Or would understand that you're confessing your guilt. No, no, no! Now wait just a minute here. Hold it. Ellen, why would you cover for me? After I testified that I thought you must have killed him.
I'll admit, I couldn't believe my ears at first, but all I want is for you to be happy. Your happiness is my happiness, Soren.
Without my notebook, I'd even forget those feelings of yours by tomorrow. Knowing that, do you still feel this way?
Love me all this time, same way you did before the accident.
Wait, I thought that was the thing after
That's how I know. You're the same person I've always loved. No disorder can change that.
Ellen. Your Honor, there are 2 things I'd like to correct. 2 corrections? What are they? First of all, I want to withdraw one of my statements. That's right. Dumez was killed by Ellen. Without memories to rely on, I took the police completely at their word. You can't be serious!
So that means Soren never really doubted Ellen in the first place, did he, Nick?
Ellen really does love Soren with all her heart. But in order to save her, I'll still have to go after Soren. I hope you can forgive me, Ellen. And what is your other correction, Mr. Sprocket? Then I'm not the killer, right? The truth is, I never felt anger or resentment towards Dumas about my sister. What? Why not? It's because the one who caused the car accident, oh, it was him, was me. What? Order! Order in the car! Please continue, Mr. Sprocket. I'm the one who killed my sister. He left my career and my future. My father made Dumez take the blame in exchange for money in the position of lead servant. Oh. So you see, Dumez must have held a grudge against me, not the other way around. And he must have attacked Ellen to get his revenge on me. Are you sure about all this, Mr. Sprocket? Very sure. It's all been written down in detail in my notebook. That notebook is important evidence supplying background to this case. I must insist you submit it as evidence. The lawyer said I had turned to murder, but that's just not true. However, it is true that my older sister and Dumez are both dead because of me and my negligence. I just glanced through Mr. Sprocket's notebook. I wasn't able to read the part about when he was stabbed due to the bloodstain. But what's written here about his sister's car accident is exactly as you stated. Your Honor, as long as it matches what's written in that notebook, can we still take the witness's testimony as valid in spite of his memory disorder? Yes, I believe we can. I understand now that the witness's memory is in disarray. But if what Mr. Sprocket himself wrote in this notebook is true, then that means by the time Mr. Sprocket's party reached the scene, shake my head, the victim had already been killed. It was Wright. I'm still in the same bind as before, but should I really simply accept the contents of the notebook as a substitute for Soren's memory? Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think? Will you accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories? Will I accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories? No, because I think there is full. Wait a minute, Your Honor. The defense requests a chance to examine the notebook to see if it's trustworthy. I bet you somebody added something in there, right? Very well, be quick about it. Thank you, Your Honor.
So how should we examine it?
Well, we should look at it from all different angles to see if there's anything suspicious. Oh, but, okay, I was gonna... There's no point if I don't look at what's inside. I have to open it. With your permission, Soren, here I go. Yikes! Oh, it's just a page Maya got all stained. But I guess it's not going to be very helpful at this moment. I'll keep going. This is the last page where there was writing. Something about this page doesn't sit right... Oh, come on. Phoenix, you should know all about torn notebooks. It's the thing that took away your career. God dang stupid magnified page, I hate you. Huh? A page has been torn out. And it looks like there was something written on it. It looks like a page has been torn out here. Mr. Sprocket, do you know what was written on it?
Oh, that? I often tear out a page when I write somebody a note. I probably wrote something down for somebody, tore it out, and gave it to them.
Yeet. Oh. Oh yeah. That solves that then. Wait a doodle second. We can't ignore the possibility something important was written on that page. But now the page has been torn out. How can we determine what was written there? Well, let's see. To find out what was written in the notebook, we should... If we use fingerprint powder on the notebook, we might be able to see what was written. What? Fingerprint powder? How would that help us find out what was written there? Well, if the writing left indentations on the page blank behind it, fingerprint powder could make those small indentations visible to the naked eye. Oh, stop. Fingerprint powder would only sully the notebook further. Mr. Wright, if you use the powder and still don't find anything, they must accept the notebook as a representation of the witness's memories. Alright, Your Honor, I understand. If I don't find anything, it's all over anyway. Powder, don't fail me now. Don't fail me now. Now use the fingerprint powder as a blank to find out if we can see what's written on the torn out page. Don't fail me now. I'm giving a call. Don't stop me now. Stop! I played the game! I wish there was like a... Do you need a reminder on how to do this? Like, I know people are like, but you could have played this after chapter 1. People are dumb and they wouldn't know what to do. Oh my... Really? Oh my god. It says, I struck and killed Dumez. This is huge. I struck and killed Dumez. That's what was written on the torn out page. What? It can't be.
Hold it. I don't believe it. There has to be some kind of mistake. Someone would never, could never.
Oh. Is what? Bailiff, please get the defendant to the infirmary at once. At once! Apparently, the defendant got too worked up. She's resting in the infirmary as we speak. Now then, please continue, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. This notebook is all Mr. Sprocket has to remember things by. With this critical page torn out, not even Mr. Sprocket himself knew the truth of what he'd done.
I'm the one who killed Dumez, so it wasn't Ellen. Oh, thank goodness.
Mr. Sprocket, does this mean you were at the crime scene during the murder after all?
I guess I must have been.
No, it's not him. But Mr. Sprocket, can we really believe what's written in this notebook?
Nobody touches this notebook but me, and when I sleep, it's under lock and key.
But who had the notebook yesterday? Pierce. So it's obviously the butler.
I don't remember writing that I killed Dumas, but I guess I must have.
Well, now that we have a confession, I'm afraid I must render my verdict. Of all the...
Yes, Your Honor. Please give your ruling now while Ellen is asleep. I want the woman I love to be set free as soon as possible. Sorry really does love Ellen after all, doesn't he?
Yeah. This is how it ends. Is that how it really went down? Is there really no way for them to both be happy? I know we should consider anything written in the notebook to be the truth, but still.
I myself wrote of the crime in my notebook. No further proof is necessary.
Soren himself wrote in his notebook. Wait a minute. Very well. I will now give my verdict. Ellen is about to be found not guilty, and Soren will be convicted for the crime instead. And yet, am I really ready for the judge to give his ruling? No! No, not when there's still one more avenue left to explore. This court finds the defendant, Ellen Watt. Hold it! God dang it! Your Honor, there's still something that bothers me about that notebook. Oh, is there? What are you doing, Mr. Wright? All you have to do is keep quiet and your client's a free woman. Shake my head at you. I know, but I think there might be more to this case than meets the eye. I'm not quite sure yet, but I think there still might be a way. A way for Ellen and Soren to be happy. What do you mean by more than meets the eye, Mr. Wright? I mean they're Transformers! I believe the question here, Your Honor, should be, why was the incriminating page thrown out in the first place? Why? To destroy the evidence, I would imagine. But removing it from the notebook is the same as removing it from Mr. Sprocket's memory, which means he wouldn't have been able to trick the police if he came under suspicion. No, if he wanted to cover up his crime, he would have had to remember that he had done it. Just what are you getting at with this line of inquiry, Mr. Wright? Yes, please explain so we can all understand. Yes, Your Honor. The page was torn out of the notebook because somebody else tore it out. The incriminating page was torn out by somebody else. What? Order! Order! Are you claiming a third person interfered with the notebook? It's not all that surprising if you consider what's happened up until now, after both the car accident and the murder of Dumas Gloomsbury. There was always a cover-up not far behind. Hold it. But I had my notebook with me at all times. Did you? Because I remember you were in a panic yesterday because you couldn't find it. That's true. So who orchestrated this particular cover-up, Mr. Wright? If we think back over the course of the trial, it's pretty easy to guess. The one who may have tried to tamper with Soren's memories is the person I predicted at the beginning of this case, Pierce Nickety. The one who tampered with the notebook in order to manipulate Mr. Sprocket's memory. Boom! Is Pierce Nickety. Give me the pursuit theme. Come on. Come on. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Pierce tried to tamper with my memories. Pierce was manipulating me. Case in point, the two receptions that were held to cover up the murder. It was Mr. Nickety directed the guests and orchestrated the entire scheme. No, it can't be. Which of my memories are mine, and which have been rewritten. When did he start rewriting my memories? Who wrote this? And this? And this? And this? And this? And this? And this? Ah! Oh my god! Dude, you can fly! He literally took off! What? What is this? What is this cult that I've signed up for?
Look, Nick, he's coming back down. My memories. Ellen.
Oh. Mr. Sprocket! Bailiff, please get Mr. Sprocket to the infirmary on the double! God dang it, everybody keeps fainting. Mr. Sprocket has been taken to the infirmary. We don't have to worry about him running away, so let's resume where we left off. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Pierce Nickety to the stand. Objection! We already know he carried out the cover-up to protect the company and Mr. Sprocket. What more do you want from him? This time it's different. The notebook, or rather Mr. Sprocket's memories, have been tampered with. That means the only person who knows the whole truth is now Mr. Nickety. Don't tell me, are you actually trying to drum up a third suspect in order to exonerate the defendant and her groom? I'm not drumming up anything, nor do I have any grounds to accuse him of anything, yet. All I know is that Mr. Nickety is the only one who knows the truth, and I think he's still hiding something we don't know about yet. Huh, no grounds yet, is it? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution consent to calling the witness to the stand? It does, Your Honor. However, I would like a little time to talk with the witness before we do. Very well. We'll break for a 20-minute recess. We're going to be continued for here, and then the next episode will be all about taking down, what's his face? Yep. Alright, so, The true culprit is finally revealed. Pierce Nickety. Oh my god. Although it's pretty obvious, to be honest, but whatever. Yeah, so I guess next episode will be the final confrontation with Pierce. We're gonna break him like a Kit Kat bar. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Hope you guys are too. God, we have a short episode for once. I'm loving this. This case is short. I'm loving it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like, a comment, a favorite, a subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video when we play more Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. Until then, guys, peace out.